Yes, he's not breathing, sir.
Okay, and he's not conscious either.
He's not conscious, sir.
Okay.
And while the caller is careful not to reveal who is in trouble, it is not just any 50-year-old who's lying unconscious. This is the king of pop, lifeless and unresponsive, even though he's getting professional medical help.
Okay, let's get him down to the floor. I'm going to help you with CPR right now, okay?
We need him.
Yes, we're already on our way there. We're on our way. I'm going to do as much as I can to help you over the phone. We're already on our way. Did anybody see him?
Yes, we have a personal doctor here with him, sir.
Oh, you have a doctor there?
Yes, but he's not responding to anything. No, he's not responding to CPR or anything, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, we're on our way there. If your guys are doing CPR and you're instructed by a doctor, he has a higher authority than me, and he's there on scene.
Okay.
Did anybody witness what happened?
No, just the doctor, sir. The doctor's been the only one here.
Okay, so did the doctor see what happened?
Doctor, did you see what happened, sir? And, sir, you just, if you can please.
We're on our way. We're on our way.
But that doctor, the one in such a hurry to get paramedics on scene, the one who saw what happened to Michael Jackson but would not stop and explain, his name is Murray Conrad Robert, and he has long since disappeared. Apparently in a hurry, leaving his car behind. It was towed from the estate, and the Los Angeles Police Department now has an appointment to interview him. Perhaps because, as LAPD sources tell ABC News, Jackson was heavily addicted to the powerful and dangerous painkiller OxyContin, receiving daily doses of it and another synthetic opiate painkiller called Demerol. In a press conference just a few hours ago, Craig Harvey of the Los Angeles Coroner's Office told reporters they know Jackson had drugs in his body.
We know he was taking some prescription medications. The cause of death has been deferred, which means that the medical examiner has ordered additional testing, such as toxicology and other studies. Those tests, we anticipate, will take approximately 4 to 6 additional weeks to complete.
That comes as no surprise to former Jackson attorney Brian Oxman, who told Good Morning America.
Well, if you will remember back to the Pepsi commercial that Michael was filming at the Shrine Auditorium, his hair caught on fire, and it caused him such pain. He just didn't like to feel such discomfort. He started taking pain medications then. He fell off a stage and he cracked a vertebrae in his back. He also broke his leg. Those two things were constant sources of pain. They made him fall down. They were so painful. He took the medications because of that pain.
According to Dr. Bruce Goldberger, a forensic toxicologist in Gainesville, Florida, Jackson's apparent mix of drugs was a lethal combination.
Someone who's being treated for pain, for example, as it's been reported with Michael Jackson, these patients are also anxious. These people also have depression. So it's often necessary to prescribe an analgesic medication like OxyContin to relieve the pain. Second, they'll prescribe an antidepressant to relieve the depression. And third, they may prescribe a sedative drug like Xanax to relieve the anxiety. It's when it leads to the misuse or abuse of these drugs and then ultimate toxicity.
Police sources tell ABC News Jackson was injected with drugs an hour before his death. And Dr. Goldberger says if that's the case, there is only a narrow window for revival.
These drugs, while they affect pain on the body, they can also produce depression of our central nervous system. So what we see is someone becomes very lethargic and fatigued. We see a slowing of the respiratory rate and the heart rate and a loss of blood pressure. So in the end, there's a collapse of the individual leading to a cardiac arrest and then death.
Jackson had long been suspected as a heavy user. In 2007, one pharmacy sued him for $100,000 he allegedly owed for prescription drugs. And in yet another sign today, in her blog, Jackson's former wife, Lisa Marie Presley, talked of her fear of his self-destructive behavior and says Michael Jackson was afraid of dying the same way her father Elvis did. Quote, "I'm afraid that I'm going to end up like him, the way he did." Michael Jackson himself wrote about Demerol in a 1997 album called Blood on the Dance Floor. So how did the 50-year-old singer expect to make it through an exhausting 50-date concert tour? This is the audition for the dancers. It was going to be a typical athletic, physical Jackson performance. And some of the people who watched rehearsals say Michael was not himself.
Michael always looked frail to me. That said, it's the root of his character. He's a sweet, gentle soul, compassionate, considerate, loving, and he has this little frail demeanor.
Johnny Caswell runs the Center Staging Complex in Southern California, where Michael Jackson went through the paces.
I think the intent was to create the biggest, best, most spectacular production that has ever been done before. Something that would dwarf any previous productions that were out on the road or on a production stage. That was the goal, and that was the intent of the producers. And Kenny Ortega at the helm.
Choreographer Kenny Ortega was working with Michael Jackson, getting him ready for the tour.
The last couple of nights of rehearsal, we all stood there in awe and realized that we were all headed for a new moment in history where we were going to recognize the greatest triumph, you know, and comeback in rock and roll history. And it was with great weight, sorrow, and sadness that we lost him.
It was to be a celebration of Michael Jackson at 50. 50 concert nights that would have made Jackson $50 million. A tour that ended before it began, and a life that ended not in celebration, but in grief.
And Jim Avila joins us now, getting back to that 3-hour autopsy today. I know we're waiting for toxicology tests in 4 to 6 weeks, but can we tell anything from today's autopsy?
Well, only limited information was released today, Elizabeth, and the hardest facts released were that there was no signs of any kind of foul play, no trauma to the body. So that has been ruled out.
No sign of a pre-existing heart disease?
They didn't talk about that at this point. They're waiting for tests on that. They didn't talk about the condition of his heart. They didn't talk about what kind of drugs may be found in the body. They do say they know that he was taking prescription drugs. They didn't say whether or not he was abusing prescription drugs.
And what about this doctor, this personal physician that we hear about on the 911 tape administering CPR, who was with Michael Jackson, and the person on the 911 tape is saying, "Doctor, what happened?" Why did it take authorities all this time to finally track him down and still just on the telephone to make an appointment?
Well, certainly that's the big mystery. And in fact, the Los Angeles Police Department said today 3 things: that they had contacted this doctor by phone, that they had to contact other police agencies around the country to locate the doctor, and that they have now found him and expect to talk to him and have made an appointment, and that he is cooperating. They expect his cooperation at this point. But certainly his demeanor right after Michael Jackson was taken to the hospital is at least needs to be questioned, because as we see, his car was left there and he was gone.
Questionable at the very least. All right, Jim Avila, thanks so much for that report. And when we come back, more of our musical journey, how the King of Pop taught Diane Sawyer how to become a human beatbox. Stay with us.
Don't you know I sit around with my head hanging down, and I wonder.
Time and temperature from TD Bank.
Well, since yesterday, the soundtrack of the world has been Michael Jackson. On radios, iPods, CD players, we've all been listening to our personal favorites. In 1995, Michael Jackson showed Diane Sawyer just how he did what he did. The hours he spent alone in rehearsal halls to bring us the music and the moves. Other artists find inspiration in collaboration, but Michael Jackson liked to sweat it out alone.
But somehow Jackson used the isolation to sharpen his sense of what was exotic and new. By 1983, the 25th anniversary of Motown, another Michael Jackson emerged, his own creation, from the muscle to the music and the magic.